They thought erasing you would end the story. That if they ignored you long enough, replaced you fast enough, or talked over your absence loud enough, you'd fade into nothing. But that belief comes from a misunderstanding of how humans actually work. People aren't erased by silence, they're erased by irrelevance. And you were never irrelevant. You were emotionally significant, and significance doesn't disappear just because someone looks away. Here's the part nobody explains. When someone removes you quietly, blocks you, ghosts you, rewrites the narrative, or pretends you never mattered, it's not strength, it's avoidance. It's a psychological defense called cognitive dissonance. Your presence forced them to confront who they were, what they took, and what they failed to give back. Erasing you wasn't about hurting you, it was about protecting themselves from accountability. Silence changes power dynamics because attention is currency. When you stop explaining, stop chasing closure, stop asking to be understood, you remove the reward. The brain expects feedback, drama, reaction, proof that they still matter. When that feedback never comes, the mind fills the gap with self-reflection. That's when regret starts working overtime. Not loudly, quietly. People mistake silence for weakness because they confuse restraint with fear. But silence is often a decision made after understanding. You didn't go quiet because you were defeated. You went quiet because you finally saw the pattern, the delayed replies, the selective empathy, the way your effort was consistent and theirs was conditional. Once you see that clearly, there's nothing left to argue about. What actually happened is this: you stopped feeding a system that ran on your emotional labor. You were the stabilizer, the listener, the one who held things together while others took more than they gave. When you stepped back, the imbalance became visible, and imbalance is uncomfortable for people who benefited from it. This is why your absence feels louder than your presence ever did. Because now there's no one absorbing the chaos, no one translating emotions, no one smoothing edges. Silence exposes what connection was hiding. And that's why people circle back later, not because they changed, but because the environment feels colder without you buffering it. Here's the lesson most people miss. Healing isn't dramatic, it's procedural. It looks like boundaries instead of speeches, observation instead of reaction, energy conservation instead of over-explaining. You didn't become cold, you became efficient. You stopped investing where the return was loss. And no, you weren't too much. That's language people use when they don't want to rise to the level required to meet you. Depth overwhelms shallow systems. Loyalty disrupts convenience. Consistency exposes inconsistency. You didn't fail the relationship. You outgrew the illusion holding it together. This is why silence works long term. Not because it punishes them, but because it recenters you. The moment you stop needing validation from people who couldn't value you, the power shifts permanently. They feel it because control disappears when attachment does. And don't romanticize the comeback texts, the curiosity, the watching from a distance. That's not remorse. That's loss recognition. They're responding to the void, not repairing the damage. Real accountability requires self-confrontation, and most people would rather live with discomfort than face themselves honestly. What you built in the quiet matters more than anything you could have said. Clarity, discernment, emotional discipline, the ability to walk away without needing applause. That's not bitterness, that's maturity forged under pressure. Here's the funny part nobody warns you about. The moment you stop reacting, people start malfunctioning, not dramatically, subtly. They double text and pretend it was accidental. They ask mutuals casual questions that aren't casual at all. They suddenly remember inside jokes they forgot. Because silence doesn't confuse healthy people, it exposes insecure ones. When there's no reaction to manage, no emotional temperature to read, they're left alone with themselves. And most people don't enjoy that company. See, drama isn't chaos. Drama is control through reaction. Loud emotions keep everyone distracted. Silence shuts the lights off. When you stop explaining, stop defending, stop clarifying your intentions, you force others to sit with the version of the story they don't like. That's why silence feels threatening. It removes their ability to rewrite you in real time. And let's clear this up. Going quiet isn't being mature in a Hallmark way. It's strategic self-respect. You're not suppressing feelings, you're redirecting energy. There's a difference. Suppression leaks, redirection builds. One turns into resentment, the other turns into boundaries. People also assume silence means you're waiting to be chosen, waiting for an apology, waiting for closure. That's projection. Silence is often the moment someone realizes closure doesn't come from conversation, it comes from comprehension. Once you understand the pattern, the ending writes itself. Here's the educational twist. Your brain is wired to seek resolution. That's why unanswered questions itch. When you remove yourself instead of chasing answers, your nervous system recalibrates. You stop scanning for threat. You stop overanalyzing tone. You stop rehearsing conversations that never happen. Silence isn't just emotional, it's neurological peace. Now let's talk about the part that makes people laugh nervously. When you go silent and actually improve, people don't know how to place you anymore. You don't fit the villain role. You don't fit the victim role. You don't give updates. You don't overshare. You don't posture. That ambiguity drives insecure minds insane. They want a label. You gave them a question mark. And notice how fast people confuse boundaries with arrogance. The moment you stop being endlessly available, suddenly you changed. No, you just stopped being convenient. Convenience is not connection. It's access without responsibility. When you remove that access, the people who only valued the convenience feel robbed. The clean truth is this. Silence filters. It filters who respected you versus who used you, who valued your presence versus who valued your output, who wanted you whole versus who preferred you exhausted and compliant. You didn't lose people, you lost liabilities. And yes, humor helps because once you're on the other side, it's a little ridiculous. Watching people struggle to replace something they never understood in the first place. Seeing them chase louder versions of what you offered quietly. It's not satisfying in a petty way. It's educational in a human nature way. So if you're quiet right now and wondering if you're doing it wrong, you're probably doing it right. Silence isn't the absence of strength. It's strength that doesn't need witnesses. And the best part, you don't have to announce it. People notice anyway. They always do. Here's where it gets really ironic. The same people who told you to just be honest are the ones who panicked when you stopped talking, because honesty is only welcomed when it's convenient. Silence removes their ability to steer the narrative. No context to twist, no emotions to provoke, no reaction to screenshot and dissect, just a blank space where control used to be. This is where most people mess up the lesson. They think silence is passive. It's not. Silence is active restraint. It's choosing not to correct people who are committed to misunderstanding you. It's recognizing that clarity doesn't land on ears that benefit from confusion. Explaining yourself to someone who already decided who you are is like giving a TED Talk to a brick wall and expecting applause. And here's the funny educational bit. Humans hate uncertainty more than rejection. You can tell someone I'm done, and they'll eventually process it, but disappear calmly, no speech, no breakdown, no dramatic exit, that lives rent-free in their head. The brain loops. Did I misjudge them? Did they move on already? Was I the problem? Silence turns their confidence into static. This is also why silence upgrades your standards without you saying a word. You start noticing who respects boundaries without needing explanations, who doesn't punish you for being unavailable, who doesn't require constant reassurance to behave decently. Silence doesn't make you distant, It makes you selective. And let's talk about the glow up. Everyone misunderstands. The real glow up isn't louder confidence or revenge success. It's emotional economy. Fewer arguments, fewer justifications, fewer people with backstage access to your thoughts. You stop spending energy like it's unlimited, and suddenly you have more of it. Funny how that works. People also assume silence means forgiveness. Nope. Silence means closure without reconciliation. It's accepting that some people don't need an explanation. They need distance. Forgiveness can happen privately. Access doesn't get restored automatically. That's adult-level emotional math. Now here's the Joker grin part. When you stop reacting, people reveal themselves faster. Some get respectful. Some get weird. Some get loud. Some suddenly act unbothered while monitoring everything. Silence is a personality test. You don't even have to hand it out. People grade themselves. And the best educational takeaway, silence teaches you how much you were carrying that wasn't yours. Emotional labor, conflict management, mood regulation for other adults. When you stop doing that, life feels lighter because it is. You were holding things together that weren't built to last. So if you're quieter these days, good. That's not retreat, that's recalibration. You're not disappearing, you're compressing. Like pressure turning carbon into something harder, clearer, and much less impressed. And the joke of it all? They thought silence meant you lost your voice. Turns out you just changed the language. Check out my Facebook page, The Joker Speaks. Motivation for more content.